Hi, I'm Mike Bethia, the founder here at KNOXX Career Networking, and welcome to another edition of KNOXX Talks. KNOXX Talks is a series of interviews with community leaders and local employers where we discuss our city and the positive things happening here while also giving our guests a chance to share more about themselves and the organizations they represent. KNOXX is a recruiting platform giving area candidates meaningful visibility and a chance to share a video introduction of themselves for employers, summarizing how they can help a company while employers finally get a clear sense of what candidates in the talent pool can offer. We hope to see you on KNOXX. Enjoy this week's edition, and thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Mike, and hello to everyone watching this episode of KNOXX Talks. I'm Susanna Matthews, Director of Engagement here at KNOXX, and thanks so much for joining us. Over the course of the last year, few people have been as instrumental in driving the cause of entrepreneurship forward more than our next guest. I'm excited to introduce John Dascher, CEO of the E2E Accelerator, as our guest today. Hello, John.
Hello, Susanna.
Well, during our KNOXX Talks, we have been asking our guests to share their Wichita story, which is really a short summary of what brought them to the place that they are today. And your Wichita story is particularly interesting because it involves some time in some other cities and even other countries before you arrived here. Can you share that story with us?
Correct. You know, I'm somewhat embarrassed to say I'm not sure that I ever stepped foot in the state of Kansas before I came here. My wife is European, and I decided one day that I wanted to experience life in a different country. So for the last 8 years, we were living in Denmark, which is where she's from. But before that, I had lived in Palm Beach, Florida, in Delaware, Pennsylvania, grew up just south of Atlantic City, and spent some time in Texas as well. And in all that time, I've been both an aerospace engineer and an early-stage investor. And having done that for 20 years, my wife and I said, you know what? It's time for something new. And I was just looking for something different and for a new adventure, and found out what the town wanted to do. It was a great fit. Came here a couple times and thought, let's try adventure number 4, the Midwest. So here we are.
Lucky for us that you are not allergic to adventure then. So you hear about this opportunity in our city and about the newly conceived E2E Accelerator. Be honest, what were your initial perceptions or maybe preconceived notions of what Wichita would be like?
You know, the only exposure I had ever had to Wichita was in my very first job. One of the very first days on the job, we built jet engine components for the 737 program. And we shipped parts to Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
But, and I'm hesitant to say it, but I will be honest, I actually had no impression, good or bad, of the city whatsoever. I did not know what to expect. So in the process of evaluating the opportunity and getting to know the people in the town, I came here 2 or 3 times, and I asked everybody I could get a hold of, people on the plane, people in town, tell me about the city. And I think only 2 people stepped up with a negative impression. And frankly, I have a feeling those 2 would have been negative about anything that they said. So that when I got here, I had a very favorable impression of the town and was slightly surprised to hear that the town thinks it has a perception issue.
That's very interesting to hear that from a different perspective. With KNOXX being one of the 6 inaugural companies to go through the accelerator, we're certainly familiar with the impact that E2E involvement can have on an entrepreneurial company that is seeking to grow, and also the impact that E2E has on the community. There may be those who are just now hearing about the E2E Accelerator for the first time. So can you give us and give them an overview of its mission?
Sure. Well, its mission is to accelerate the Wichita entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I think it's common knowledge now that this town used to be an entrepreneurial mecca years ago and perhaps has lost its mojo, so to speak, and there are multiple ways you can get that mojo back, and one of them is to utilize the resources that you have from previous generations and transfer that wealth of knowledge, information, experience, and capital into the next generation of entrepreneurs. And you have to provide a forum for that to happen. And that's what E2E is. We have a 3-pronged business model that runs an accelerator program, an incubator program, and then invests and manages capital from investors that want to invest in companies coming through these 2 parts of our business.
For those who may not know, who were the other entrepreneurs and businesses in the original accelerator class, in addition to KNOXX?
Sure. You know, we had a group of 6 great companies that were actually relatively connected fairly well. Mike's, for example, started his career in the construction industry, so he was a great fit to Jeff Jones of True Building. Jeff is a leader in zero-impact, energy-efficient buildings, and is doing that both residential and commercial because that's the way that millennials will want to live in the future. Speaking of the way millennials would like to live in the future, we also had Andrew Goth of Reverie Coffee Roasters, who has a wonderful, high-quality coffee roasting facility and cafe downtown and wants to go from one location to several and tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds of coffee. We also had Miguel Johns of KingFit, who's commercializing software to help manage diabetes. We have Chad Cox of Visibility Optics, who has software that will allow consumers to buy glasses online immediately at their doctor's office instead of having to go out and do it somewhere else. And finally, we had Trevor Krotz of Buddy Rest. And as a lot of people have learned now, one of the world's best dog bed is manufactured right here in Wichita. And now he's diversifying into several other product lines. So we're all real proud of the guys. They worked very well together, and they've all come a long way in a real short period of time.
I bet you're like a proud parent watching them all
in some
take
ways.
flight.
Only one of them's older than me, so I guess I can't say that.
Well, many watching may have the misperception that the E2E Accelerator is either just a business education program or just a cheerleader. But it goes much deeper than that, right? From KNOXX's firsthand experience, we know that E2E challenges businesses, and it places a lot of emphasis on studying different business models and identifying what the vulnerabilities are of the business and what are the risks and what are new opportunities. And so there may be some areas of opportunity that the business can maximize that they haven't yet uncovered without the help of the accelerator. Can you say a little bit about that?
Sure. The heart of the accelerator program itself, again, is the transfer of knowledge and experience from one generation to another. You even may recall at the last Startup Grind event that we were instrumental in bringing to town, Brian Williams had made a solid point that no entrepreneur has built his company or her company all by themselves. And any entrepreneur who's deep in the weeds trying to grow and develop their business can often find it impossible to draw themselves out objectively and look at the big picture. So having mentors that want to share their experience, have been there, can challenge the entrepreneurs to think in ways that they never would have before, either because, again, they're in the weeds, or perhaps they just haven't had the chance to do that yet in their career. So challenging them and then holding them accountable to each other and the program helps implement actionable results.
That is so important because it can be sometimes a lonely journey otherwise. Well, in going through the E2E experience, the KNOXX founder, Mike Mathia, really credits E2E with shaping a lot about how he thinks as a business owner and how he's developing new technologies. And we hope that you'll stay tuned for announcements about that in the near future. And some of those are specifically coming about because of the accelerator's analysis. And E2E has really helped to make sense of some of these opportunities. So can you share a little bit more about, from your perspective, why was KNOXX a good member, a good participant? What was attractive about KNOXX?
Sure. Well, there are a handful of things that we looked at, and we still look at for any entrepreneur company coming in. One of those is market validation, and that can be quickly summarized as, is somebody willing to pay you for your product or service? And Mike has built a business that KNOXX came out of and has proven to the world that his skills can be sold and have value in the marketplace. The other one is we have to make sure that our entrepreneurs aren't, I don't want to say pig-headed, but let's just say they're coachable. Let's just say that they're willing and able and want to get input from others and then act on them if necessary. And Mike absolutely is that, with having a lot of confidence as well in himself. So we were impressed by that. And then the final one, as with any accelerator, we have to make sure that the people and the mentors behind us can actually have value in what KNOXX is doing. And since many of those have started and run large companies, have had problems finding talent, still have problems finding talent, we'd be able to draw on their experiences to help Mike accelerate what he wants to do at KNOXX. And I'm pretty sure it's been a success already, and we're only 6 months out.
Well, I think you made a good bet on him myself. What are your thoughts on the video-centered approach that KNOXX takes, and what would be your advice to candidates who might be considering using the KNOXX platform, but perhaps might be a little bit hesitant about using video as a part of their own job search process?
Funny you should ask that, because I'm just having this conversation 10 minutes ago. We, EDE, decided to launch a new product or a new accelerator in partnership with Wichita State, and we did it very quickly. And one of my guys said, we have to put a video together. Of course, my gut reaction is, of all the things we have to do, that's not it. I said, why do we have to do that? And he said very profoundly, because that's the way people want their information now. And just like it might have been impossible for us to succeed without having learned a word processor or Word or Lotus Notes or Excel, whatever the case may be, I think the next generation, they will have to communicate. And not as a bell and whistle. Primary communications will have to be done via video.
That is a powerful prophecy.
So to integrate that into the hiring process with all the natural value propositions of gaining body language, of feeling, all the intangibles of a candidate can't get from paper, to me it's a great combo.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that you've really gotten on board with the video first idea.
And used it as a customer myself.
Yeah. For employers hearing about this for the first time, who we hope will also be customers, what are the benefits that they might realize from using the KNOXX platform?
Oh, sure. Well, I think it's exactly as the way that Mike spells it out. That, and you know, it doesn't matter if I'm investing in a startup company or if I'm investing in a person as an employee. What ultimately is the way in reality is always different than what's on paper. And that different is 50-50 good or bad. And we know this. And the only way to cut through that and avoid inefficiencies is to see the person live and in action. And it's somewhat surprising to me that people hadn't caught on to this years ago. And of course it's encouraging because I'm sure that Mike has a head start above all others.
Yeah. Now is the time.
Absolutely. Hey, timing has
Timing
a lot
is
to do with
everything.
it.
Well, bringing our conversation back to the bigger picture, John, why do you think it's important to have broad community support for entrepreneurship, and how does that tie directly to economic development and job creation?
Wow. You know, you can't answer that question without saying the word ecosystem. And I suppose it would revert back to the general theme that we talked about before, and Brian Williams had mentioned that you can't do it by yourself. And that's true when you're having people inside your company, but it's also true when you're operating inside of a community. If the members of the community are not there to rally behind you, connect you, invest in you, be a customer when it might be a risk for them, then if you can't prove that you'll be successful in your own backyard, how can you prove you'll be successful in somebody else's? So aggregating this community to have pride in itself, support itself, knowing that everybody will benefit in some way, shape, or form, it's critical, absolutely critical.
Wow. Well, as we wind down our visit today, I know that EDE has some exciting things that are coming up, and so could you speak a little bit about those current and future initiatives?
Sure. Well, number one, as we talked a little bit before, we are launching a new accelerator program that will feed into the EDE Accelerator in partnership with Wichita State. It's called Launch Prep, and it's focusing on very early stage entrepreneurs, most of them young, but not necessarily. We are also in discussions right now to acquire a building so that the space we have now, which suits maybe 8 to 10 entrepreneurs, can suit 50, as well as hold events like 1 million cups. And then lastly, since our cohorts are maturing and putting into action what they did through the accelerator, we're looking forward to getting some cold, hard cash out of the investors' pockets and into theirs through the EDE fund.
Wow.
So the execution of the model.
Well, I'm excited to see where all of that goes.
So am I.
John, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you.
And on behalf of our community, I just want to say I'm glad you're here in Wichita, and we appreciate everything that you're doing to drive entrepreneurship and innovation in Wichita.
My pleasure. It's been a great year.
Thank you. Well, if you are an employer wanting to discover Wichita's talent during the Hire Local Challenge, I encourage you to go to www.hirelocalchallenge.com and activate a KNOXX employer profile. Use the promo code HireLocal17 and you'll get a special rate that will allow you to use the KNOXX platform during the Hire Local Challenge to post jobs and review candidate profiles. If you would like more information or a demonstration of the KNOXX platform, we invite you to contact us at 316-425-7200 or email us at info@knox.net. If you're a candidate wanting to be visible during the HLC, go to our event website and create a candidate profile. You'll have the opportunity to upload a brief video introduction where you can speak directly to the employer and tell them how you can help their company. Thank you for watching. We'll be introducing another community partner next week, so keep watching for posts on the KNOXX Facebook page and Twitter feed. If you have questions about the Hire Local Challenge, feel free to message us on social media. Or if you just want to stay up to date on our progress, go to facebook.com/KNOXX and click on the sign up button. As we close, we want to extend another big thanks to World Studios and Lightspeed VT as our video production partner. They do amazing work, and if you're needing video-related production or virtual training services, you would be wise to get them involved. We'll see you next time on KNOXX Talks.